If you want to get the top odds every time, bet with TopSport's Same Game Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
Well, you know what they say, three's a crowd, two's a party. So we got rid of the one bloke and it's just the two of us for the moment anyway. Ches will be joining us a bit later on. Welcome back to the Same Game Multi Podcast. Thank you once again for tuning in. However you do listen or view us, we greatly do appreciate it. Mr. Burton, how are you, mate?
Mate, fabulous. Good to be here on the downhill run for the week, for the weekend. Footy's ready to come back.
Nearly Friday Junior.
Nearly Friday Junior, yeah, which is drinking day for me. I try and stay off it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What I don't drink other days of the week, I make up for there. So.
Fantastic. As always, joining us off the top of the show is the CEO of topsport.com.au, and that is Tristan Merlehan, and he joins us on the phone right now. G'day, Tristan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good boys. Good to chat. It's weather's dried up here a little bit, so hopefully we got the big local derby in Queensland. So hopefully we get some free flowing footy.
Should be a good game that too. We'll touch on that a bit later on. Actually, I'm very intrigued to see how the market is for that one with Reynolds now being ruled out as well. But mate, we usually hit you with our top sport, top that moment of the round. Now, for those of you that are new to the show, each week the boys will pick a moment from last week's games and we get Tristan to be the judge. But seeing we're one man down, mate, we thought we might just get you in on it and get your moment of the round as well for last week if you're keen.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to change things up. And yeah, it was plenty of good footy on the weekend, so more than happy to give you my moment.
Well, I'll let you kick it off, mate.
Yeah, I thought that this weekend was going to be whether the Cowboys stood up to show that they're the real deal, and that was when they played the Storm. I know the Storm were missing a few players, but I just thought that was my moment of the round. Seeing them put 4 tries on in 12 minutes and Jeremy Nanai scoring there to just completely blow the Storm out, who were down on troops. I just thought that was fantastic for a side that had been ridden off all year. Basically, they were second favourites to run last, and unfortunately, they did pick a couple of injuries up. But that was just to see them put a team to the sword of the quality of the defence of the Storm. I thought was my moment of the week.
Fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, mate, I'm going to double you up there. That was actually my moment of the week too. And as you said, mate, it wasn't just a beating, mate. It was convincing. We were down at headquarters after playing soccer. All the boys were down there, mate. We watched that game and all but done it very convincingly, so it was good to see. And as you said, mate, that was the game that basically was going to sort the boys from the men, and they definitely stood up, which was excellent to see in a competition that for probably the good part of 8 or 9 weeks was almost a 2-horse race, but now that's blown that door wide open.
Yeah, it definitely has, and another big test for them this week as well, which we'll get to in a second. I'm glad I changed it up a bit this week because you're dead set certainty to win then if you're both picking the same thing.
100%.
I must have known something. Mate, for me, and Jared, for me, it was in the Roosters Panthers game, Suwali's hit on big kick out. He did blindside and come in from the wing and jammed him up, but just to see an 18-year-old kid put a massive shot on one of the form back rowers, I'd say, this year so far. Good to see. I'll tell you what, I'd hate to be playing him in schoolboys last year or something like that. Like, can you imagine coming up against that? Because usually they put the small player for the team out in the wing. Back when I used to play, Kentwell, he used to always be out in the wing, so I can imagine coming up against him would be quite frightening, to be honest. So that was mine, mate. The big hit from the little fella or the young fella.
No, I thought that was really good as well. I agree with that. It was a fantastic hit, and really it gave the Roosters a bit of spark as well because they were in a little bit of trouble early. The Panthers did still handle them quite comfortably. It was good to see that the young fella wasn't taking a backward step there.
No, he definitely doesn't. Take some strong carries too out of his own half as well. Good to see him and Cobbo both do the same thing. So.
Absolutely, especially being at that age too. He's got a bright future, that's for sure.
Mate, we'll quickly touch on a few games, but before we do, just want to get an update on the market for Manly, for the premiership market now that Turbo's been ruled out for the season. Any update there, mate?
Yeah, it certainly has seen them drift significantly on the back of that. they're out to $41 to win the comp. So a massive blow in the market where, on the back of one player out, which is disappointing, but I actually think it's been one of those seasons that's been really, really tough for Manly. They've had players sent off there early in the game. They had a player sin bin there. I think they've handled themselves quite well under all the adversity, but they're going to have a real challenge now to make the 8. They're sitting on 10 points with the Rabbits, on equal points in 8th, but they're going to have their work cut out. But you never know. Ruben Garrick was good when he played at fullback last time. When they've got a few young kids coming through, so they need to step up if they're going to be going to still ease their way into the 8. But yeah, certainly the market is against them now. Yeah,
big blow for them, that's for sure. Mate, we'll get to a couple of this week's games, and the one I want to touch on first is probably, I think, going to be the game of the round, the Panthers up against the Cowboys. We did just mention it then. I had a look at the market a bit earlier today, mate, when I was doing the prep work, and the line was set at 14.5. Is it still out about that?
Yeah, they've been a bit of a go, Manly, and I think it's because I'm just not convinced with the Storm at the moment. Like, they were beaten all ends up by the Cowboys, and the Cowboys had 2 players that went off at half time. Like, I know we talked about Melbourne missing a few players, but the Cowboys lost some players at half time, and yeah, they probably should have come home over the top, but they didn't. So they opened at $1.12 and -16.5, but there's been a strong push for Manly into $4.80 and $1.19, and the line's into 13.5. So Melbourne's still very firm favourites, and rightly so. But I wouldn't surprise me if the game's a little bit tighter than what the betting indicates.
Yeah, I reckon it will be too, because they weren't very good last week, the Storm, at all, were they?
No, they're very ordinary. Got bashed. But then, having said that, you take your hat off to the Cowboys too, because as I said, it wasn't just a once-off. It looked very convincing from my point of view, anyway.
Panthers Cowboys, mate. Where's the money going on that one?
Yeah, this has been one-way traffic for the Panthers. So we said last week was the test for the Cowboys. This is another massive test for them, and they go in without 2 of their superstars in Jason Taumalolo and Kyle Felt. So they've got pretty good replacements coming in. Ruben Cotter to go into that spot. Obviously, he's been starting, but he'll switch back to Taumalolo's spot. And they've got some young kids off the bench. And then the Hammer will get a run in the back line. We know how exciting he is. But Penrith's just so professional, and they're so hard to stop. So the market has certainly gone hard their way. It's $1.22 Penrith, $4.40 the Cowboys, and the line's gone 10.5 out to 14.5. Does seem a very big line. It seems like the market continually underrates the Cowboys, and probably a reason to with a couple of those key outs, but it certainly seems a big number to me, 14.5.
Yeah, considering they're the second best defensive team, I think, in the comp at the moment too. I was quite surprised by that line. I quite liked that. So another one, mate. Broncos up against the Titans. Big local derby up your way. Any love for the Titans there?
Yeah, well, there's been a move their way, obviously, primarily on the back of Reynolds coming out of that side. So it's $1.45 the Bronx, $2.75 the Titans, and the line is 7.5. Well, it opened at 9.5 into 7.5. There is a person lurking on the bench there for the Titans that might change the market as well, with David Fafita lurking there on the extended bench. He'll want to get on that pitch to prove himself eligible for Origin as well. So 7.5. This is probably the Titans' one of their grand finals, I think, now. I think it's going to be unlikely they make the 8, and we know how big a fixture this one is for them. So they get to play them twice in 4 or 6 weeks, and they'll want to be trying to get a result because it's been a very disappointing season so far.
Yeah, they have been a bit underwhelming, I suppose you could say, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think that nails it, to be honest, yeah.
Unfortunate. One last one, mate, before we let you go. We'll hit the Raiders versus Eels. Raiders have come good the last couple of weeks. Eels got that gritty win last week as well over Manly. How do you see this one playing out, and where's the money going?
Yeah, the money's been initially for Canberra, then a little bit of support for the Eels just in the last 6 hours or so. It's $2.50 the Raiders, $1.53 Parramatta, and the line's 4.5. I think Canberra's been very good in recent times. They're back at home, which is going to help. Parramatta were very fortunate to get the win last week against Manly. If Turbo didn't get hurt and if they didn't lose the play to Sinbin, I'm not so sure they would have got the 2 points. So they've been a bit scratchy in the last month or so. They've knocked off Penrith and they've knocked off Melbourne. They just don't seem to lift for some of these other games. And going down to Canberra, if your attitude's not quite right when it'll be nice and cold down there, 254.5, maybe Canberra can cause another upset. And
Jamal Fogarty named to make his debut for the Raiders as well, so at least I have a noted halfback there as well, which they sort of trained all off season. So it'll be interesting to see how they line up with him in the spine there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it'll be. Jack Whiten's got a lot to prove too at this time of the year, with Origin coming up in
14.
So they're all over the weekend. I think some of these games will be fairly tight. Players that want to play Origin will be obviously at their best for obvious reasons.
Yep. Fantastic. Thanks, mate. We appreciate you joining us. Like I said, one man down, but we'll soldier on. Head on over to topsport.com.au, create yourself an account, use the code SGM Podcast when you do sign up, and support a great Aussie company such as TopSport. Thanks, Tristan. We'll talk next week.
Speak next week, guys.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Yeah, I think he nailed it there with the Titans at the moment. Now, I don't want to speak ill of them, but I did see an article today where they all but said that David Fafita was a $1.2 million car crash, which at this point probably it probably sums up to be that, and it'll be interesting to see when it comes time to contract negotiations, we'll call it.
I think you'll be taking a bit of a haircut, to be honest, if you're going to stay there.
But then again, too, how does he feel about taking a haircut? But then again, too, is there anyone else in the league that's willing to pay him that sort of money? And if they are, I just wonder if it's someone that's got relative idea that they're going to change the way he plays.
Yeah, there was talk, obviously, earlier a couple of weeks ago about Bennett and the Dolphins there. I think he's contracted till end of 23, so end of next season with the Titans. So he might land at Dolphins in 24, depending on what the offer is, and whether the Titans are looking to free up a bit of cap space, he might move there next year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he turns out, but hopefully, fingers crossed for his benefit, for the Titans' benefit, that something works quickly. Otherwise, I tell you what, could be in some trouble.
Yeah, but as far as their season go, they were the. As far as the Queensland sides, they were the favourite to make the top 8.
Absolutely,
out of the 3 Queensland teams, and now they're sitting down the bottom of those 3 teams with the Cowboys and the Broncos all in the top 8.
It's funny, the side that was the favourite out of Queensland to get the spoon is now the favourite. They're at the top of the table. So it's funny how the world works.
It is, mate. Very interesting. How about you and I do?
You are off. Don't talk to me. Just go.
The
He has been sent off.
The send-off.
You got something this week? I got one, but I'll let you go first if you've got one.
I'm going to go, and I'm a diehard fanatic Parramatta supporter. A lot of people know that. I try my hardest
Get out.
not to be one-eyed, but and this will prove it. I have to send off the refereeing in that Parramatta game. That last 10 minutes, we were all but given the golden handshake and basically given the game. But at the same time, there's pros and cons to and for and against. It's all about a little give and a little take. At the same time, honestly, I don't think Mitchell Moses deserved to be sent off. At the same time, Regan Campbell-Gillard, when he was speared, I think it was Olakau'atu, I think it might have been. I could be wrong. They were sin binned for that as well. I don't believe both of them should have been binned. So it depends on how you look at it. That's a bit of justice both ways, but unfortunately that's not how the world works, because then that's how momentum swings change and etc. So getting a penalty for a shot where Hayes Perham was rapidly falling as he'd slipped, and the head eye basically gifted us a try in the next set. So I'm going to send off the refereeing in that game. I think that Manly were robbed easily.
Yeah, right. Big call from a one-eyed Parramatta supporter there. It's nice to see, mate.
I'm honest.
Yeah, most times. Mate, I didn't actually see the game. I was away in Sydney, so I didn't actually see a lot of footy over the weekend, actually, but mine sort of backs onto that, and it's the I suppose, what do you call it, the blow-up from Des in regards to the ref, but maybe you're saying that might be justified given the refereeing.
It's not acceptable, but at some, to some degree, I feel it was warranted, because if you don't say anything, then people, they're not going to know. The bunker again, it's one of those sort of things. It's you can't live with, can't live without. Stick to just tries and general play and all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, they've ruled on that and the sin binnings, etc. So yeah, I think it was warranted.
As far as I'll carry on mine, the bunker as well. Everyone's calling for it to be blown up and to go and all this kind of stuff. It's here to stay, I can tell you that. There's too much at stake for the game as far as not only competition points, but you look at just about every team has a gambling agency as a sponsor.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the money coming into the game is from gambling agency, and that's where they'll always have the bunker to rule on these kind of tries because there's too much at stake. And whether you agree with it or not, I'm not saying I do, but I'm just saying that's always going to be there because there's too much at stake for mistakes not to be picked up. And I know the bunker does create some mistakes. They're not perfect, but they brought in to get rid of the howlers. Sometimes they do create howlers. I understand that, but I don't know, it'd be a tough gig. Not only refereeing, you're a junior referee, mate, so you can probably speak better than me, but it's definitely not encouraging people wanting to get into the industry. I wouldn't imagine all the the blow ups and the media hype and all that kind of stuff around it, social media, all that shit.
Well, so I've done refereeing at seniors as well for many years. Done grand finals, etc. For I've done first grade lines and stuff in the local area. It's I don't know. It's so easy to referee when you don't have it. It's one of those things where we don't have access to it. That's why it's so easy that we don't have it up here in the bush, playing bush football, obviously. And it takes, what is it? It's a multi-million-dollar business, basically. But it's one of those sort of things, as I said, you can't live with, you can't live without. I'm a massive fan. I am a huge fan of the Captain's Challenge. That way, that brings a bit of honesty into it. But at the same time, if you're going to bullshit a referee just to break the momentum flow, that sort of sense, that then ruins it, and that's what a lot of people are focusing on. What a lot of people aren't focusing on is the positives that it's bringing in. So how would you feel if say Melbourne play the Cowboys for a spot in the grand final? The Cowboys score on the bell, but Cole Felt's foot is on the sideline. But because it happens so fast, it's so rapid, there's so much of a break in play, the touch charges aren't in position or they're in an obscured position. There might be bodies on the ground. They score, they go through. Whereas you look at around the other way, then Melbourne are then costed when you look at replays and stuff like that.
Exactly.
The video referee was always a good idea when there was not as much footage, but now there is replays and social media.
That's the thing. You hear a lot of these people say, "Oh, just let the referee. If he makes a mistake, we'll move on." That's fine, but then they replay it 30 times when he makes a mistake.
Absolutely.
And that just blows it up. You know what I mean? If you're happy to live with that, replay it once. Oh, he made a blunder. Get on with it. But they replay it and 2 sets later, they're still replaying it.
Absolutely.
That's what shits me. You kind of can't have your cake and eat it too. So, anyway, we've gibbered on enough, I think, for this.
I think. Long story short, I think that was just referees were sent off. So.
Yeah, also there's. We'll take a break, and hopefully, the third wheel might join us. Stick around and stay tuned. We'll find out.
Having a bet on sport this week? Top this.
Whether you're into cricket and curling or golf and greyhounds, TopSport will let you on for plenty. And with literally hundreds of markets from your own backyard to the international stage, TopSport has you well covered. So if you want to get the top odds every time, bet with TopSport.
Top that. Download the app today. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. We told you he'd be here after the break. Thanks for sticking around, Ches, mate. How are you?
Good,
How's
boys.
the week
Good.
been?
Yeah, busy, mate. Yeah, it's been good.
Good.
Nice change. It's good.
Good to hear. I like it.
Change is as good as a holiday, mate, they reckon.
Bloody oath.
I much prefer a holiday. We'll get straight into beer of the week. Thanks to the Whitebull Hotel, great sponsors of the show each and every week. They'll give us a 6-pack of beer to sample, and the boys will give their stubby lid rating. Now, Ches has just got in, so he hasn't managed to get one yet. But, Berto, over to you, mate. What have you got? What did Hawkeye fix you up with
Mate,
this
they've
week?
hooked us up with the Little Creatures Pale Ale this week. We've had Little Creatures before, but I don't think it was the Pale Ale. I can't think of what it was. But it's Little Creatures in general, apart from the price tag, it's actually super good. So regardless of what it is, it's generally really good. It's actually, when you speak of a pale ale, you sort of expect that fruity, heavy, hopsy sort of taste. This is actually pretty mild, and it's damn delicious. The only problem is, boys, and I said this as soon as I ripped the skin off my fingers trying to open the lid. Boys, it's a pop top. So straight away, mate, there's a point gone. Thanks for coming.
Half a point.
Half a point gone straight away. So, but this is damn good, delicious. It's 5. Straight up, it's a 5. But boys, I can't back away from it. It's going to get a 4.5. because it's a pop top, not a twist top. But I tell you what, Hawkeye's hooked us up here with something delicious, even better on tap. I tell you,
Full strength.
it is a full strength, so 5.2% alcohol so that's standards. That's 1.4 standards. So in a 330 ml bottle. So if you're driving, make sure you do it responsibly. Only have maybe one or two sort of thing over a period of time.
Very affordable at the Whitebull Hotel, as always. Get on down, grab yourself a 6-pack, maybe even a carton for the weekend. Plenty of great footy to watch as well. Let's get straight into Birdo's segment, which is sponsored by our great friends at I Am Cartoonified. As you can see directly above my head, the great piece of artwork they've done for our new sets. And Chaz got a little live read he's going to read out, and then we'll hit it.
Yeah, boys, I've got one here. These are from the team at I Am Cartoonified. At I Am Cartoonified, we aim to bring joy into everyone's homes through various forms of personalised art. To get cartoonified, it is simple. Upload your photos, choose your theme, and we will make the magic happen. Love the NRL? No matter who you support, we can put your family and friends on print wearing your supported team jersey in front of your preferred stadium. Want to add your favourite players to the artwork? No problem. We can customise any print to fit your desired space and needs. From small table pieces to large wall-hung prints, printed and shipped from Australia. Head to the website iamcartoonified.com and use the code SGM15, that's SGM15, and you'll receive 15% off store-wide for the month of May. Now, we've only got a few days left on that deal, don't we? What are we at, the 25th now? So
Yep, another week.
Just under a week left. So jump on there and get that very generous offer from I Am Cartoonified, and you'll receive your 15% off.
Fantastic. Player performance rating, mates. Tell the listeners quickly what it's all about and then hit us with them.
So basically, we're going to go through a player performance, basically rate them what we personally think. Your interest might be a little bit different. Your thoughts rather might be a little bit different. But so we'll select 2 or 3 players. Every potty, and we'll basically give them a rating on what we think they finished the season at last year to basically where we personally think they are this year, sort of thing. So
we're still hitting the $1 million road.
Yeah, so we're still on the $1 million men. So there's not many left. So as I said last year, it's a bit of a dying art. But so boys, Ben Hunt is going to be our first one now at St George Illawarra. $1.2 million this bloke is on. Performance-wise, last year was absolutely atrocious. I'm going to give the bloke a 5. This year, I think he's come around a little bit better. I think I'm going to give him probably about a 6.5.
Didn't we do Ben Hunt last week?
No. I've got, actually I do, yeah. I was looking at the wrong notes. Nate, we'll kick it off with Nathan Cleary then. Nathan Cleary. I'm going to give him a 10 from last year. I'm going to give him mate, I told you before, even on the show, I was on the moon. Nathan Cleary's exactly on $1 million contracted till next year. And then his new contract will start from then onwards, which I think is quite a large sum more. So we'll deal with that later. Nathan Cleary, no doubts about it, 10.
10, don't even need to say anything more. He will be, if he doesn't get a long-term injury and can stay injury-free, I'm going to say he'll be the best player the game's ever seen.
Yeah.
Personally, he's 23 years old.
You know, it's bad when...
playmakers don't hit their straps till they're 28, 29, you know. You look at JT and Cooper Cronk, like how good they got to the back end of the career. Lockyer, he's still got so much growth in him, but I don't know. I don't know how he gets any better, but he's going to. That's the thing. It's
when Andrew Johns at the moment is arguably the best player we've ever had. It's an honest shout when he's saying this bloke's going to beat my records.
Yep. 10.
I'll go a 10, but a 9.5 for this year.
Well, he hasn't played all the games. I missed the first month of footy. So.
Yeah, no, only just for the fact that the games he has played, I think he has more. Not that he hasn't tried, but he has a little bit more. Not saying what his future holds, what he has this year. He's still got a little bit left. I think he's still got a little bit more to show this year, and he'll probably come out in the next couple of weeks, especially in 2 weeks' time. He'll really, really shine.
Yep.
Next one, Daly Cherry Evans. And
the old gooseneck.
Giraffe.
Now, last year, I'm going to probably give him a 6.5 last year. Manly sort of, Turbo, I think, was a lot more in the spotlight than him. And I think that reflects. But when it comes this year, I reckon I've watched a fair bit of Manly this year, and I think his kicking game has gone from good to better. And whilst he keeps cruising at this altitude, I think he'll be one of the best halves we've seen in the last decade, sort of thing. So Cherry Evans last year, I'm going to give him a 6.5. This year, kicking game alone, I'm going to at least give him an 8. He's been very consistent, very consistent.
Yeah, he's really good in the early parts of this season and the midway through this season so far. Last couple of weeks he's dropped off a bit, but I think that's just Manly's whole performance as well.
Yeah.
Hard to be a good halfback when your forwards aren't going forward. Kicking game is exceptional. He's won Manly so many games off the back of his kicking game, whether it be his long kicking game or his field goals as well. I think he's got like 31 or 41 field goals in his career, something crazy. 8 is what you said? Yeah, I'll go an 8.
I reckon last year he wasn't that good until the return of Turbo. Don't know whether that was the factor or not missing him. 6 for last year. Don't really like him. He has got ability. I'm going to be very generous and give him a 7 for this year.
7. Last one, boys.
And the comment of him possibly making the Australian side, what a fucking load of garbage.
I reckon that's part of the reason. That's giving him a little fire in the belly. I think he's been playing good since then. Boys, Kalen Ponga is the next one, who's on a very, very large wicket, particularly in his new extension. He's now $1 million man as well, boys. Now,
have you run this past his dad, whether we're allowed to talk about him?
I don't give a fuck. He can message me personally if he really likes. I just don't see the hype. I don't understand where it comes from, his creativity, particularly last year and this year as well, when they're short on half stocks. So they sort of rely on him for a lot of creativity. The problem was, even though he was the only one creating, he didn't create. And have a look at them this year. They're like right down the bottom. They're literally down in the shadows. They're sitting in the fog at the moment. And realistically, I can't see him getting out of it. And he's definitely not helping them. So I'm probably going to give him 5s.
Yeah, I think 5s is fair. I might give him a 6 from last year, maybe because of all the hype and build-up that might have pushed him over a little bit more than how he performed. This year, woeful. I think if they didn't have him and use that money somewhere else, they could improve dramatically. He's just not that. Just doesn't have that wow factor this year.
Yeah.
Don't know whether he's got too much pressure on him to perform.
Possibly.
I don't know.
I compare him similar to a David Fafita. You know, you get those great match-winning moments out of him maybe once a month. You know, not every week. He's not like a consistent, say, Jerome Hughes or a Nathan Cleary, where you know what you're going to get each and every week, whereas him, you don't know whether it's going to be a 5 or whether it's going to be a 10 or somewhere in between. That's where I'm kind of putting him at the moment. I don't know if it is the pressure of getting to him, whether he doesn't have the half, like an experienced half like Pearce helping him out. Made a lot of changes to that spine as well. They've definitely missing Brayley. I think he was out at the start of the season. I'm going to go 6, and hopefully he stays at a 4 for Queensland, because we don't want him to go any better than that.
Yeah, I just definitely can't see the value for money there with him.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you to I Am Cartoonified. As we said, head on over to the website, design yourself a nice little piece, send in your photos. If you like The Simpsons, something like that, they can do that. If you've got a daughter's birthday coming up, Disney, princesses, all that kind of stuff, your pets. And if you're struggling for friends, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to be hanging on your wall as part of the artwork with you.
I got none either, so in the same boat.
Yeah, and if you want me on the wall with you, that's all right. You get my permission.
Let's hit a few games, boys, because we've got a couple of good ones coming up, and we'll punch through a few. But to kick us off, Thursday night, 7:50 p.m, boys, Storm up against Manly. This one's at Amy Park in Melbourne. Storm are the heavy favourites here, $1.17, with the Manly being $5.25 outsiders. The line is set at 14.5. You can get them both at $1.90, the Storm at the minus or Manly at the plus. Storm haven't been good the last couple of weeks, boys. They got trounced by the Cowboys last week. Manly, though, no Turbo for the rest of the season, and that pretty devastating loss, I must say, last week to the Eels. They should have probably won that game. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think they ought to improve. As you said,
which one?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. Going off Manly's performance last week against Parramatta, you got to give them credit, but at the same time, Parramatta were nowhere near their best, and we deserved to lose. Thank you to Ben Cummins, mate. That cheque should be ready to cash when you're ready. But all jokes aside, I tell you what, Melbourne, after getting a spanking, I wouldn't say a spanking, but being convincingly ground out of the game and all but dominated, and the scoreline reflects it. And it's one of those sort of games too where sometimes you look at those sort of scorelines and you think to yourself, was it really deservingly? I think it was deservingly. So Melbourne didn't play well. As you said, they're in a little bit of a slump at the moment. And I tell you what, if they were playing anybody else, they might end up with their pants pulled down. But Bellyache will be definitely have the boys on red line. And this is always a massive rivalry game.
Battle of Brookvale.
Yeah, absolutely. There's massive grand final history all through the early thousands and stuff like that. So should be a good game, but I think Manly will beat them.
Yeah, I think last week the biggest problem there was with the late missing the Jerome Hughes. I actually went on and changed my tips and got a full round last week. That did change their side a lot. I didn't get to see a lot of footy last week, but I watched the full Manly Para game. That was a nail biter. I nearly turned it off. About 5 minutes left because I don't like Manly.
So did I.
And I was like, oh, no, it's only a couple of minutes. I'll just sit it out. And I'm bloody glad I did because it was a good finish. Yeah, you're right, Berta. They both need to improve. I think whoever does improve should get the chocolates out of this game. I don't know. I think I'll be leaning towards Melbourne for this. I really will.
I said last week, you don't often see Melbourne lose 2 in a row. I can't remember last time I've seen them lose 3 in a row. I think Bellamy will have them up. Just looking at the team list there, boys. Hughes, he's come back at half. Harry Grant goes back to hooker and Brendan Smith to the bench. And with Tommy Turbo out, Garrick obviously moves to fullback there. And Jorge Tafua, Georgie boy. Tafua's back. He hasn't played since about 2020, I think, halfway through 2020. So he's back on the wing. I believe he'll be up against Xavier Coates, so look for the bomb. I'll be getting Xavier Coates for a couple of tries, I reckon. In saying that, my multi, and I don't have him on there. But anyway, I'm going big this week, boys. I'm kicking us off with a bang for the first game. My multi, boys, is Xavier Coates, just to get 1 try. Munster and Dylan Walker. I couldn't see many points coming from Manly, but Dylan Walker, he usually plays pretty well when he comes off the bench. Bit of spark in around dummy half, maybe a little crash ball out from dummy half, a little scoot over. That one's $31.23.
I read this good comment the other night after that game, actually, the Manly game. Even Dylan Walker doesn't like Dylan Walker.
That's true.
That's fair. They actually turned into a little bit grubby, like they used to be in that second half, didn't they? That would have been my sin bin.
It's a shame they can't throw them anymore. Otherwise, Campbell Gillard might have turned someone's lights out.
Let's get to the next game, boys, and I think this will be the game of the round. Friday, 6 p.m, Panthers versus the Cowboys out there at Penrith Stadium. Panthers are heavy favourites here, $1.22, with the Cowboys outsiders at $4.40. The line, as I mentioned earlier, Tristan is set at 14.5, which for the team that's second best defensive in the competition, I quite like that line. So 14.5, you can get the Panthers at the minus for $1.90 or the Cowboys at the plus for $1.90. My bet reflects that, which we will get to in a little bit. Thoughts on this game, boys?
I just hope it's not going to be, we're not overhyping it.
Hopefully the weather's all right.
Yeah, hopefully the weather's all right. If it's anything going off the horse racing and stuff lately, it's going to be a heavy track down there in Penrith. Having said that, they are a fair way out the west, so they might not be getting everything they are in town. As you said, I actually like that line too, the Cowboys' second best defensive side in the competition. However, I think that's just a bit of, I think it's from TopSport and Tristan and the boys there. I think it might be just a little bit of safety just to give them that particularly the win, head to head, I think. But all in all, it's at wrong time of the night. I think it should be the 8 o'clock game.
Definitely no rain Thursday or Friday in Penrith, so it should be dry track, should be good football. 6 o'clock too, so maybe not as much dew as it would be if it was the 8 o'clock game, but I agree it should be the main event. But I'll tell you what, at the start of the season, if you said Panthers versus Cowboys was going to be the game of the round, you would have...
Bath.
I would have said, they'll be putting about 50 or 60 on them.
Yeah. Panthers are unchanged, boys, from last week, and the Cowboys, as we mentioned before, Kyle Felt and Tomalolo are both out with the knee injury. The hammer comes into the starting side on the wing, and Cohen Hess will start at lock for Big JT. So, a few changes there.
Yeah, I said last week that the Cowboys game, that was a little pressure cooker test. Unfortunately, they didn't quite get the quality Melbourne that they could have had, but this week is definitely the pressure cooker for them. It'll definitely test out their defence and their amazing attacking displays that they've been putting on. I think I'll be taking Penrith, but I don't think I'll be having them by a big margin. I might go the 1-12s, I think, for this game.
Yeah, there's a few people picking the Cowboys in this. A few upsets. Penrith are, they're going good, but I suppose they did lose the other week, didn't they? Who beat them? Parramatta, didn't they?
That's a fact.
My multi-boys, again, I've gone the Cowboys at the plus 14.5 line to cover the line there. Isaac Tago and Jeremiah Nenai, both you get across as well. This one's not as good at odds as my last, but $18.42, so still not too shabby.
Nothing wrong with that.
Little three-legger there. I think it'll be close to that. I like that 1 to 12 bet.
Cowboy Penrith 1 to 12, $3.45, Ches.
Yeah, right.
It's not too bad.
Do you reckon we might see a little bit of jazz from Stevie Crichton? Might be trying to get a boot in for a centre selection here for Origin.
I think he's just about to lock him and Staggs. I think will be the centre pairing now with Turbo and Latrell out.
Do you think the main reason why they'll pick Crichton is because of the halves?
Yeah.
And then you got Yao as well. So they're just all going to gel.
And Toto. He'll be playing inside Toto. So
they're all just going to gel.
That whole left edge will just basically be Penrith.
Just play the whole side.
The other option with Tony Staggs I was thinking about would be a Campbell Graham. But when you look at that, with who he's used to playing with, it just makes sense.
Just you don't have to. Whereas you go into that Origin camp for a week, you don't have to worry about that because the boys have already gelled.
Combinations are there. We'll take a quick break and hit the other games on the other side of it. Stick around.
Another half win. From punters jumping in early or waiting too late. You get a good price on one leg, but the others have shortened dramatically. You still win, but it feels like you half win. Introducing TopSport's Best of the Best multi. Get top odds on every leg, every time. Don't be one of these. Just bet and forget Bob Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're going to hit the third game of the round, and that is the Broncos up against the Titans, 7:55 p.m. on the Friday at Suncorp Stadium. $1.45. Broncos are the favourites here. The Titans are $2.75 outsiders. The line is set at 7.5. Get them both at $1.90. The Broncos at the minus, the Titans there at the plus. Adam Reynolds, a big out for the Broncos. Didn't seem to worry them last week too much, boys. Thoughts? Will it have any effect this week? And can you see the Titans causing an upset at all?
I don't want to sound nasty, but I'm just sick of putting faith in the Titans. I'm just waiting for them to do something. And
you and a long line of others.
They've just been letting me down. When I have been choosing them, I can't go on this week. I'm going to stick with my guns, even though Reynolds is out. Brisbane had a great performance last week without him, I thought. Very, very strong. I'm going to lean with the Broncos this one, and I might even. This will be one of the ones I'll probably go with 13-pluser and probably put 3 try scorers in for myself for the Bronx on the weekend.
Jared Wallace got a double last week, boys. A big front row. He gets across, doesn't he? Good to see.
Loves the good old chainsaw rip too when he scores. But no, it was good too because his first try against Cronulla was actually he did all the hard yards by chasing a grubber kick. Just, snavelled her up and put it over the line and then the chainsaw let rip. But it's amazing what emotions will do in a game of football, and particularly these sort of games where there's massive rivalry in it. More so than 2 points. There's bragging rights are on the line here too. But at the same time, geez, I tell you what, Ezra Mam and Tyson Gamble were so good last week considering, what would you call it, the top gun in the side, being Reynolds, the chief himself, wasn't there. But I tell you what, the boys stood up and played like he was there. So I'm going to go Brisbane. But like you said, Ches, I think it's you and a long line of others that are just, sick of the Titans.
Yep. Not much other team changes there. Reynolds obviously out, and Philip Sami's out with a knee injury, so Brian Kelly comes in for the centres there for the Titans. My multi again, lads. I've got over 41.5 total points. I think there will be a few tries scored here, and the couple of them that are going to score those are Corey Oates and my man, the old toe sucker Stags.
Hey.
$5.78. A little 3-leg there if you do like that. Not bad value.
I'll tell you what, my bet for myself is going to be exactly the same as yours. At Broncos 13+. I'm going to put Herbie Farnworth in myself. He hasn't scored as much as what he was at the start of the year, so he might be ready for another little points injection this week.
Re-signed during the week too, so he'll be up and about. Next game, boys, we'll quickly touch on this. Won't spend too much time. Warriors versus the Knights, Saturday, 3 p.m. at Moreton Daily Stadium up there in Queensland in Brisbane. $1.74. The Warriors are the favourites here, and the Knights are the outsiders at $2.10. The line is set at 2 flat. $1.95 if you like the Warriors at the minus, or $1.85 for the Knights at the plus. Both teams desperate for a win, boys. How do you see it? Who's going to get the jockeys?
Just real quick, did I hear the other day that Harris Tavita's going to be finishing up and having a bit of personal time?
Take a little break, yeah.
Yeah. No, good on him. I'm going to go with the Warriors here. I wouldn't put money on the Knights if it was yours, Birdo. I can't see them doing anything really this week. I think they're just going to be stuck in that hole now. And they just can't dig themselves out. I think they're just in that sort of a mindset that we can't win games. We're just going to struggle all year, and a run into the back end of the season where they just, how St George were last year, just real flat, and then they might get to the last 2 rounds, start throwing the ball around and cause a couple of upsets. I think that for me, that's what's going to happen with the Knights.
I was impressed with Milford last week for the first half of footy. He's blowing the gasket after about 20 minutes, but he played pretty well. I thought created fairly well. Hasn't played for quite a while. And just looking at the changes there, boys, Tuala comes in for Bradman Best, who dislocated his elbow. That was pretty awful last week. And the eyebrow man, Clifford, he comes back in to replace his halves partner, Adam Clune. So the halves will be Milford and Jake Clifford there.
I don't want to rave on too much because we'll try and get through this.
Yeah.
But see what Tallis said about Milford, thinking the Knights.
No,
yeah. Everything he said, you should be thinking the Broncos, mate. Yeah, they're the ones that were trying to look after you.
Yeah. And he's got a fair point, but at the same time too, it's just, fuck, mate, it's water under the bridge, move on. Boys, my thoughts on this game, I tell you what, I'm talking about sick of putting faith in sides that are fucking no good. It's the Warriors for me. The Knights for me. I tipped them against St George last week. Turns out there was cake on my face, but I tell you what, Phoenix Crosland, I tell you what, that bloke needs to go back and play a bit of reserve grade football. That bloke, there was a market for the annual most knock-ons in a calendar year, mate, that bloke's just about got it. But I'm going to go to Warriors.
What's your multi, mate?
That's right. So it's my multi. DWZ, the big boy DWZ on the wing to get a try any time. Also, I'm going to go the first half points to be over
20.5.
20.5. And I'm going to just go to Warriors head to head. Boys, that's $5.01.
Ooh. Nice 1 cent. Chipped it over the $5 mark. Next game, boys. Souths versus Tigers. Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Accor Stadium out there at Sydney Olympic Park. The Souths are the favourite here at $1.44 and the Tigers are $2.80 outsiders. Line is set at 7.5. Both at $1.90 there. Souths at the minus or the Tigers at the plus. Souths have been pretty woeful, boys. Tigers... pretty much the same. I've been really disappointed. You boys talk about sides. South Sydney's probably my biggest disappointment for this season, I would say, so far. Number 24, though, I can see there on the team sheet, Cameron Murray. Talk of him making a bit of an early return, and I can tell you what they could do with him.
Speaking of returns, Mark Nichols.
Oh, the GOAT.
Yeah. He's back on
back
running off the bench
too,
this week. Mate, totally agree with you with that with South. So I had them picked to finish up the top of the ladder this year and be right in contention again. Just fallen by the way. So it's something bad. I don't know what's going on there. They've just lost their mojo. I don't know what it is. They're not the same team.
I know exactly what it is.
I know because Reynolds isn't there. Yeah. That has affected them a lot.
Massive, absolutely massive. That's probably one of the biggest momentum swings I've ever seen.
It has, but even when they're getting some good balls, they're starting to slide out wide and stuff. They're just not executing what they usually do. They're just there's something. Don't know what it is.
Looking at the Tigers there, boys, a few big ins for them. Dane Laurie returns at fullback. Luke Brooks at 5'8" as well, which that shifts Stafford Toa to the centres. Peachy's been dropped to the reserves. I can just read there too, boys. So one of their captains been benched again.
Well, they still got 4.
Third time this year? Second or third time this year that he's been given the arse. I
think Peachy's one of those players that needs the team to go well in order for him to play well. He's a confidence player, you know what I mean?
Massive,
massive confidence player. So if he plays well, if he has a couple of good weeks, he'll be in that starting side, locking down starting position or at least a bench position for the rest of the year. But he's just a bit low on confidence at the moment, I think. Utakamanu is there as well, so Bit of he's coming off the bench, looking at number 17, so a bit of impact off the bench for them. Who you got, Birdo, and what's your multi?
So my multi this week for this game is going to be South Sydney head-to-head. Alex Johnson, first try scorer, and the South Sydney Rabbitohs are going to be the first team to score, obviously, if it's AJ, and that's going to be $8.40.
Not bad. You got in the first try scorer, mate. I thought you'd given it away.
Yeah, no, it's got the better of me.
Like an ex-girlfriend just couldn't stay away.
Yeah, just can't stay away. Bloke can't sleep.
At least the first try scorer won't give you the clap again.
I think that's about 4 or 5 in a row, isn't it?
No, I'll give it a week off. I'll give it a week off. So
Yeah.
I had 4 on the strap, give it 1 off, and I'm back on here.
Like those stupid fucking time bets last year.
First try to be 8 minutes or less. That got me about 2 weeks ago. Never
I'm going to
again.
go rough here. I'm going to take the Tigers 1-12.
Yeah, right. I'm getting sick of backing the Rabbitohs, so I could possibly do the same. I haven't done my tips yet, so I'll wait and see till tomorrow. Sharks versus Roosters, boys. Saturday, 7:35 p.m. at Shark Park. This should be a cracking game. Head-to-head, the Sharks are the favourites here, $1.78 with the Roosters $2.05 outsiders. The line is set at a short 1.5. You can get the Sharks at the minus for $1.95 or the Roosters at the plus for $1.85. I'm looking forward to this game, boys. Ches, what are your thoughts, mate?
It should be good. If both teams play well, this could be probably up there with the Cowboys-Panthers game in the matter of performances. But so this is a hard one to pick. This is going to be a tough game. Obviously, a couple of players missing there. For the Chooks there, we've got Tupanua's on the bench. He's pushed out Egan Butcher, so that's a big bonus for us. He's a great player. I think this game...
Will Kennedy returns for the Sharks too. That's a big in.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be very, very tough. Hopefully, it's not too wet because this could come right down the line. I reckon this might be a field goal game. Hopefully.
Do you mean that, Butt?
And the
I do.
Sharks
I honestly do.
Because I tell
honestly
you what,
do.
ain't no field goal game for Parramatta. I hope my blood pressure can't take it.
I'd prefer to get beaten by a field goal than get beaten by fucking 28 points. So.
Nah, I don't know about that. I'd rather not make the grand final than lose it. But, Ches, I'm with you there. I think this should be a really good game. If the Roosters can play that sort of form where they 2 weeks ago when they played Parramatta, for example, that's a game I paid a lot of attention to, and they basically just suffocated us, just basically robbed us of the ball, made us work out of our own. And if they can do that to Cronulla, I think that'll be basically the first time they've really been suffocated in weeks and basically starved the ball. But
I think the big danger in this game is Talakai and Momorowski.
No, I don't think Talakai's what everyone says he is. Momorowski's...
I have little faith in Momorowski.
I was 6-pack on that. I reckon Talakai will not do anything special.
So what's your bet? Who's going to score the most tries? Or?
No, just that Talakai ain't worth shit.
Okay, rightio.
I reckon he's just going to steamroll him. That's what I'm saying.
Remember Momorowski with Stags a couple of weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Fuck, he got hammered.
Yep.
Your multi, mate.
So my multi, I'm going to go Cronulla to win 1-12. I'm going to go Nico Hines anytime. And that, boys, is going to be...
You also got Sharks head-to-head.
I've got Sharks head-to-head too, yeah, which contradicts itself, but I don't know why I've got that in there. Boys, that is going to be $12.44. Nico Hines, he seems to jag him from support play. He's always there, so which a good fullback should be. So
that's that field goal.
Right.
like going off the fullback mentality.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're
mate. Fucking hell.
That's that field goal I was talking about, 1-12. So they win by 1.
There you go. Right, I'll pay that.
Bulldogs v Dragons, boys. Sunday 2 p.m. at Belmore Sports Ground.
Won't be watching.
$2.45 for the Bulldogs, and the Dragons are the favourites here at $1.55. The line is set at 4.5. You can get the Bulldogs at the plus for $1.85. Or the Dragons at the minus for $1.95. The return to Belmore, boys. Do we think it's going to spark the doggies?
Gee, I hope so. They need something.
Definitely need something, don't they?
Spark need fucking dynamite up them, I think.
I'm just looking here too. It's got Belmore Sports Ground in brackets, Belmore, New South Wales. Oh, fuck.
Really?
Mate, I thought it was in Gyra.
Adokar returns on the wing, boys. Ockenball dropped to the reserves. Just looking there at the Dragons. McCulloch returns to the bench as well. So that'd be a bit of experience for them. So
Benji Blackswell knows all about that.
Good luck with your journey, Benji. Who are we picking here, boys?
I'm going to go St George. I just don't know where the spark is for the Bulldogs and all this bullshit that's happened over the last couple of weeks. You can't just draw the curtains and then 2 weeks later open them and hopefully it's gone. I think it's still there. It still looms. There's a hell of a lot of pressure on them, but I think the St George, as you said, hopefully a bit of Belmore and a bit of what'd you say, originality there by that being their original home ground, etc., and just sparks up. Mate, that car park could be full of Commodores and Subarus everywhere. So
Fully sick.
I mean, fucking pop-up Honda stands and everything.
Your multi, Ches?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dragons this week for my tips. Don't know by how much. So I've taken, on my multi, nice little three-legger, I've taken the Dragons, given the Dogs 4.5 start. So minus 4.5 for the Dragons. The Fox anytimer, Australia's quickest man. And one of the big number threes, which I like seeing play, is Moses Sully, anytime try scorer as well. $13.48.
Mate, he's like a windsurfer with that big mop behind him. Just pushing.
I think that's about the sixth time you've back Sully.
Oh, I love him. He
hasn't come off.
Moses Sully, Kaloa Matangi. They fucking never come through.
Righto. Yeah, a clean swap. Momorowski for Moses Sully.
Done. I think we'd even give him some coin too.
There you go. Yeah, right.
Big time.
Last game of the round, boys. Raiders versus Eels, Sunday, 4:05 p.m. GIO Stadium. This one here, $2.50 if you like the Raiders. Parramatta Eels are the favourite at $1.53. The line is set at 4.5. You can get the Raiders at the plus for $1.85 or the Eels at the minus for $1.95. Big news, boys, for the Raiders is Jamal Fogarty. He's making his debut, I suppose you could say, for the Raiders. And also, though, on the downside is Charles Nickel-Clockstad out for about 6 weeks. But that should bring Savage into the fullback spot. So it'd be interesting to see him lock down that spot for 5-6 weeks. See how he goes there, especially now with Whiten and Jamal Fogarty as well, feeding some balls. So really interested to see how that goes. Parramatta boys, I think Wonga Blake's back as well, which will be good. So,
the Waka Waka man.
And Sivo, he's still in the reserves. He's just lurking. Any news, mate, from the members?
No, so they didn't release anything early to us about Sivo. Basically, only what they've released to the general public. The other thing too is Sean Russell is finally finding himself back to a bit of match fitness after having some broken ribs and a punctured lung from all but an assault charge, I believe. So nothing on Sivo yet, but I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets snuck in. There might be that little Queensland nonsense. Remember they used to play that, like, someone's got a flu or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So that way they can't plan ahead. But I tell you what, hat off to Hayes Perham for a bloke who was the Wentworthville 5'8", steps in and plays wing in first grade. Done, you know, what was expected.
What he
tremendous
needed to do.
Yeah, exactly right. So
We nearly need a chainsaw to cut his hair too. Jeez, it looks thick,
mate. Imagine running the brush through that wig, and you'd come out to be no bristles left on it. But, boys, one thing I said to Tristo before when he was on early. Actually, I didn't, but I was thinking about saying it. It was funny. The line is so much different to the odds head to head in this game. It's sort of as if they don't know what's going on, but it's just to be safe that head to head they've lowered Parramatta's safe to be head to head. But one thing in Parramatta's favour is this is played on a Sunday afternoon at 4:00. If this was played at 7:30 or 8:00 Friday night, Saturday night, I'm telling you what, they'd be near frost settling by 9:30.
Yeah.
Give it a month's time, I reckon there will be.
Wouldn't be sliding over for a try, that's for sure, because she'd be turtling up. That's all I reckon.
You'd slide from the 10 and the frost would carry you through. Boys, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Para. But it'll be massive to see Sivo win. But it's one of those sort of things. It's only early in the season.
Give him another week or two.
Yeah. As I said a couple of weeks ago, it's better to leave him out for a week than lose him for another 10.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's your Moldy, mate? Hit us with that and we'll get to the
Mate,
Guru's bet.
I took the Raiders last week, which comes through for me. They were paying $3 something, but this week I can't do it. I'm going to stick with Parramatta. Not sure by how much, so my multi is Parramatta head-to-head. Gutho and Mitchell Moses anytime. Now, Mitchell Moses, he's been playing out of his skin, I reckon. He's been playing absolutely fantastic. Those 3 legs, $11.26.
It's not bad for 3 legs. I like that.
Wish I had 3 legs.
I do, but the other one's not. It's more like a bale.
Now, boys, the Guru Took him a couple of weeks to warm up, but he come good. Third week in, he got one up. Now, if you remember last week, boys, Brisbane Broncos head-to-head, North Queensland, he picked his own line at plus 12.5, didn't matter. And Stephen Crichton, I can tell you, I was backing him like a favourite down at Rosehill when he made that intercept try. $5.24 that was last week. So
I was just going to say quickly, he mightn't have got a return yet, but holy shit, he's been close.
He's been close.
He's been
he was
so
just
close.
A bee's dick away and got one up last week. I tell you what, boys, he's come strong this week. Have a listen to this. In the Sharks versus the Roosters game, he's gone over 40.5 points. Panthers to win halftime and full-time, so the halftime, full-time double. In the Dogs versus Dragons game, over 38.5 points. And he's also, just because he's the guru, he's just throwing this in as well, just to round out the four legs. Zaki to win at Eagle Farm. Race 5, number 1, Zaki. So that's what he's rounded that bet out with. So that one's $16.78. So he's gone from a $5.24 last week. He's put $11 on it, up to $16.78. So I'll just repeat that. Sharks versus Roosters, over 40.5 points. Panthers, halftime, full-time double. So that's the lead at halftime and also full-time. Dogs versus Dragons, over 38.5 points. And Zaki to win Eagle Farm, race 5, number 1, $16.78.
Zaki should be no worries there. It's drawn the outside barrier, but it should win easily.
A quick question for you. Is this one of those short sprint races or is it a long one?
Yeah, so it's a sprint race. Zaki's drawn the outside barrier. Apart from Nature Strip, I reckon I'd class Zaki as the best sprinter in the country, apart from Nature Strip.
Is Nature Strip in this race?
No, not so. The only other query I have on that, and I might hit him up at headquarters on Saturday night, I'll see him down there, is that the Dogs Dragons, is there 40 points in those sides?
But I tell you what, not much defence in them.
I tell you what, he's the guru for a reason.
I don't think the Bulldogs have scored over 16 points this season. So yeah, that's not me. I don't know. Might have a bit of faith in the Dragons.
I tell you what, it might be worth a little stab at. So I'll be on it, Guru.
Anything else before we wrap her up, boys?
All done, I think.
All
Done and dusted, I'm pretty sure. Unless I've forgotten something, but I'll remember it later on then and forget it again.
I'll remind you.
Remember your
remind us.
fucking pocket watch next week too. Don't want you to be late, mate, or I'll flatten you as you come through the door.
Mate, I got a fucking hard job these days. Overtimes and bloody whatever else. Now, those two boys that were locked up for the knockouts.
Yes, it's done. Keefe Koala. Not too sure who that is, but if you're listening or watching, mate, get in touch. And we'll give you that prize money for the knockout comp. I might even send you an email if I can track down your email there, and we'll transfer that cold hard cash into your bank account. It may or may not be cold by the time it's transferred. I can't speak for that. So, but yeah, congratulations. He was the last man standing, and I'll be emailing the administrators of the site to see whether we can maybe run another one, boys, because it only lasted half the season.
Not even halfway.
Yeah. So,
tell me about it.
Good fun. All right, we'll wrap her up. Enjoy the football this week. If you do gamble, please gamble responsibly. And as always, don't eat your soup with a fork. We'll catch you next week.